So in this video, we're going to talk about the show me, tell me questions. The examiner will ask you two questions, one at the beginning of the test and one during the test. Now, if you do get these questions wrong, it will normally be a driver fault or a minor, but it could very easily be a serious or even a dangerous fault, so a major fault, on the show me question on the move if, when you're doing that particular action, you're losing control of the vehicle or missing information. So it's very important that you know the layout of your vehicle. So if the examiner were to ask you to demist the front windscreen, for instance, you want to be able just to press the button or turn the dials without staring down here, because if you veer off of course or you miss information out in front of you, that will be a serious or a dangerous fault. Now, if you are unsure how to do that, the examiner will ask you to pull over on the side of the road. They will ask or show you how it should be done, and then they will ask you to do that action again. So to save yourself that stress, really important that you know the layout of your vehicle to the point that you can do it blindfolded. So the video that you're going to see now is specific for a vehicle, and if you do have any questions, feel free to put a comment in the comment section below and I'll help as soon as I can. So to check your foot brake is working properly, you would first of all switch the engine on and then you would operate the foot brake. It shouldn't feel spongy or slack, so it shouldn't feel like the accelerator, and the car shouldn't also swerve to one side while braking. So the first thing you would do is look in the owner's manual to see what the recommended tyre pressures on your vehicle are. You would then use a good quality pressure gauge and put it on the valve of the tyre. Remember, you don't have to actually do this on the test, you just tell the examiner how to. You then push it on and it should say the same as in the manual, so 30 psi on this car. Remember to put the dust cap back on, check your spare tyre if you have one as well, and check when the tyres are cold, so before a journey. To adjust your head restraint, on these vehicles you can't, they're fixed, but you would still have to explain to the examiner how it's done. So you would then use some sort of button to adjust the height of it, and you would set it so your eye level is in the center of the pad. And also if it's tiltable, you would adjust it so it's as close to your head but without touching it. So to check that your tyres have sufficient tread depth, you would use a depth gauge and you put it into the grooves of the tyre, and there should be at least 1.6 millimeters depth of tread over the middle 3/4 of the tyre, and there should be no deep cuts or bulges on the sides of the tyre. This next bit the examiner won't actually ask you to say, but you can say it anyway. The outside apes don't make a difference, but if you can see the banding or the canvas, which is a white or brown fabric like in this picture, the tyre would be illegal as well. To check your headlights and taillights are working, you would put the key on the first click so all of the lights come up on the dashboard, and then you would turn the dial on the left hand side stalk as far as it goes, so this green light turns on the dashboard, and then you walk around the car. You should have 2 at the front and 2 at the back. To check the anti-lock braking system or ABS is working on your vehicle, you would put the key onto ignition so all of the lights come up on the dashboard, and the ABS light should illuminate. After a few seconds it should turn off, and if it doesn't, there is a fault. To check your direction indicators are working, there are 2 ways of doing it, and either is fine. You can either do the slightly harder way, or more annoying way really. Put the key on ignition first, use the indicator stalk, and then walk around the car. So this would illuminate the left hand side, so there should be 3 on that side, the left front corner, the front wing and the rear corner, and then you get in the car and flick to the right hand side and do the same over here. Or an easier way to do that is by doing the hazard lights, and then you walk around the car, and there should be 6 illuminated. So the 2 at the front, 2 on the sides, and 2 at the back. To check your brake lights are working, you'd put the key on ignition, so again the lights come up on the dashboard. Do not switch the engine on, and then you would operate the foot brake. Remember, the handbrake does not turn on the brake lights, only the foot brake does. You would then reverse near an object and look for reflections, or ask someone to stand at the back of the car to tell you whether they're working or not. To check the power steering is working in your vehicle, you would pull down with your left hand and then switch the engine on completely. The steering should then go nice and light, and if it stays heavy there is a fault. Also, it shouldn't go heavy while driving. To turn on your rear fog lights, you would put the key on ignition so all of the lights come up on the dashboard. You would then turn on your dipped beams by twisting the end of the left stalk. Then you have this inner ring here. The first click is the front fog lights, and the second, which will spring back, is the rear fog lights. If your car doesn't have the front fog lights, the first click will be the rear fog light, and an orange light should illuminate on the dashboard. And it's also important to remember to tell the examiner that we use the rear fog light when visibility is less than 100 meters. So to switch between dipped and main beam lights, the key would be on ignition. You twist the end of the left stalk to turn on your dipped beams, and then you push the stalk away from you so the blue light illuminates on the dashboard. So to first release the bonnet, on the passenger side there's a lever just by the foot panel here. You then have to pull that lever to then release the first stage. So to lift the bonnet, you lift it with your left hand, and then the catch is on the right hand side. You slide from right to the left to release it. You take the prop out from here and you put it in the hole on the side there, and then it's supported. After you've asked the question to close the bonnet, you then reverse the process. Take the prop out, make sure you put it back into this clip again. Take the bonnet down so you're about a hand span from the bottom, and just drop it. By putting it down and then pushing down on it, you can dent the bonnet. Also, it will make sure that it's securely clipped in as well. So to check the oil, remember you don't actually have to do this, but it's important to know how to. You take the dipstick out from here, you then clean it with a clean dry cloth, put it back in all the way, and then take it back out. And it should be between the min and the max marks on the dipstick. If not, you add the oil to get it up to the max mark. Make sure when you push it back in, it's fully in as well, because otherwise the engine can run a bit funny. To check your coolant level is the reservoir here, and it should be between the min and max marks. And to check the brake fluid is a bit hidden away, it's just round the back here, and it should be between the min and max marks. So along the drive, the examiner will ask you one of the show me questions. There are 7 in total, and it's really important that you know exactly where they are on your car so you don't start hunting things down and swerving. So practice as much as you can with your instructor or in your own vehicle. So the first thing that the examiner could ask you to do is to demist the front windscreen, and that's done with the button in the bottom left corner. Push that so the orange light illuminates, and then that turns that on. To turn that back off again, you can just press the button again, or press the fan down on the right hand side. The next thing the examiner could ask you to do is to demist the rear window, and to do that is the button in the bottom right hand side. You press that so the orange light illuminates, and then you press that again to turn it back off. The examiner could ask you to open and close a window. Doesn't make a difference which one it is, but it's the buttons just down here on your door handle, and you just push it down and hold it, and then you pull it back up. It does not have to be done all of the way, as long as you just open it and close it again. The next thing that the examiner could ask you to do is to wash the front windscreen, and that's done by the lever on the right hand side. So you can see there, I didn't do it because I'm going around the bend. Once I'm on the straight part of the road, we then just pull this lever towards us. It will spray first, and then it will start to wipe. When it starts to wipe, you let go, and it will turn itself automatically. Remember, you will be blind for about half a second whilst doing that. The next thing the examiner could ask you to do is to wash the rear window, and that's done by twisting the end of the stalk on the right hand side. So you twist it all the way and it will spring back again. Once you can see the rear window is then clear, you then twist it back anti-clockwise to turn that back off again. Another thing that the examiner could ask you to do is to sound your horn. Now make sure when you do this that you're not going to be scaring any pedestrians that are walking past. Again, there's no urgency to do it straight away, and when it's safe, all you do is press the centre section to make a noise. And the last thing the examiner could ask you to do is to turn on your dipped beams. To do that, you twist the end of the left stalk all of the way. Make sure when you do this that you're not going to be doing it in a position that could be giving other drivers a false sense of knowledge. So if you're coming up to, say, there a side street and you can see there's a car coming out of it, don't turn it on there, because they might think that you're flashing to allow them to go. So as always, I hope this video has helped, and if you do feel like you need to ask any questions, please put a comment in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.